This is okay. So this is going to be a tomato review for the Purple Calabash Tomato. I did a review on this last year. I figured I'd revisit it again this year. Tomato plant wasn't as productive as I would have liked, so we didn't get too many off it. If I'm lucky, I'll probably get between 6 and 8 of them off the plant this year. Pretty much just, I don't know, it withered away and died out. So, but it's usually a pretty good producer, and you usually do pretty good with this tomato. Now, I'm pretty confident that this tomato was, or generally comes from, I believe it's either Virginia or North Carolina. I'll have to find that information and put it in the description. I don't remember offhand. But it's a very fluted tomato. Where are you? Right there. It's a very fluted type tomato. And some people might refer to this as an ugly tomato. It's also a flat tomato. It's very flat in general. There's another good example. You could see how flat that is. Pretty much a gorgeous tomato. Even if you're just going to grow an odd variety of tomato just for the aesthetics purposes, this would be one to grow just for the aesthetics, because there's such a beautiful tomato. I mean, you know, look at this. Just a gorgeous looking tomato. We're going to cut this one open right now. It looks almost like the purple Genovese tomato. Not purple Genovese, just Genovese tomato. It's a tomato from Italy, which is an old world tomato. It's got that old world look to it. Just a fantastic looking tomato. And if I remember correctly, last year I really liked the taste of these tomatoes. So we will do a taste test on that. But first thing we want to do is get our bricks. Very juicy. Oh, I like that a lot right out the gate. 6 on the bricks. Let's see if we can get you. I don't know how much of this you could see. Well, anyway, it's 6 on the bricks. I tried to show it to you. I'm going to do a review on this pretty soon, so we'll go over that once we get to that stage. And let's give it a taste test. Well, right out the gate, it's a tardy, tangy type of a tomato. The sweetness is probably about 25 on my way of trying to describe it. And the tardiness was like a 35. But the tardiness on this was very tangy in flavor. It's like a little bit lemony almost. That didn't taste lemony, but just a little bit lemony, the way a lemon would affect your tongue. So it had that lemony flavor. But that type of tardy tanginess that come forth, the way this tomato is, it does have a tomato flavor, but that tardiness really brings forward that tomato flavor. And it wants to hang out in the back of your tongue, which drives you back to the tomato. That's a very unique feature to tomatoes that I like to try and point out if possible, because I like tomatoes that draw you back again and again and again. I want that effect. And part of that effect is getting that balance between the sweetness, the tardiness, the type of tardiness, and the way the flesh is. Is it dry? Is it chalky? Is it creamy? Is it wet tomato? There's all these different attributes that drive you back to that tomato. So I like fresh tomatoes where it draws me back in. If I could eat these tomatoes and enjoy it and be drawn back in fresh and raw, then you can't imagine what kind of sauce it would make, or how would it taste on a hamburger or a sandwich or something like that. So that's really what I look for. If you can eat them and it draws you back in raw, well, it's going to be even more incredible when it draws you back in for the sauces and stuff like that. So in my opinion, this is a perfect sauce tomato. As far as like where would I rate it in sauce tomatoes, like I'd probably rate it like a 3 or 4 for sauces. It's up there. It's got that tanginess. Now, it didn't really have the sweetness. You could add a little sugar. A lot of sauce recipes require you adding sugar to it anyway, because there's just simply not enough balance in the sauce. So that's why when you see tomato sauces, there's always sugar added to it. And the reason why is because the tomatoes that they made the sauce with simply just did not produce enough sugar in it, in that variety, and that's not that uncommon. This is, you know, what's really uncommon with tomato is the tomatoes that are producing so much sugar now that wasn't really a common factor in tomatoes in their early history. You know, tomatoes were always tangy and tardy like that. There was really no sweetness. Our tongue is getting spoiled because we're getting used to getting a little sugar in our tomato sauce, and now tomatoes are being bred with high sugar content. So that's why we're becoming more and more demanding as tomato growers to get tomatoes that produce higher levels of sugar. And we're really trying to tweak the environment, the soil, and all this stuff to get sweeter tasting tomatoes because we're spoiled. Our palates got spoiled. It's as simple as that. Tomatoes in general really shouldn't have a very sweet taste in general. They should have some sweetness, but we're looking to bring up that sweetness to like a 10 on the bricks, and that's abnormal. It's going to take some, you know, hybridizing and you know, regrowing, and it's just going to take a lot of stuff to get that to happen, but it will happen eventually. This is one of those tomatoes where I do feel if you grow it enough and you really tweak it right, you can bring that sweetness up. It's going to be a fantastic sweet tomato sauce. You won't need to add sugar to it. It's just one of those type of tomatoes. So I'll give you one more look at the inside, and I will end the review. I'll take one more bite for you guys. One more. Yeah, again, I mean, it's got that tanginess that would really make a good tomato sauce. Lower on the sweetness, you add a little sugar. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I could eat this out in the field, no problem. Though, that tardiness and tanginess wouldn't be my most desirable when I'm eating that while I'm in the garden. When I'm in the garden, I want to eat like cherry tomatoes that are really sweet, has high sugar, and it's really going to carry me through that rest of that day that I'm going to be out in the garden. But I still would eat this. This is just an absolutely delicious tomato. I love the Purple Calabash Tomato. I will be growing this on a regular basis. I am going to try and tweak it. Don't know if I'm going to come back and review it next year, but I am definitely going to be growing it. And really, that's about it. That's your tomato review for the Purple Calabash Tomato. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.